If you have a recent history of substance abuse, whether it's with illegal substances, solicitation of prescription drugs, or alcohol abuse, it can have a negative effect on the determination of whether or not you will be receiving Social Security disability benefits. The general rule is that your substance abuse cannot be a material factor that contributes to a finding of disability. Now, what this means in plain English is that Social Security is going to look at whether, absent the effects of past or ongoing substance abuse, your condition would continue to be disabling and prevent you from work activity. So, for example, if you have cirrhosis of the liver, but you are still heavily drinking, if Social Security finds in the medical record that if you stopped drinking and went to AA for a prolonged period of time, the condition would improve to the extent that you could probably perform work activity, a finding of not disabled will be determined. On the other hand, if your liver condition is so severe, and say you're on a transplant list, that even if you went into remission tomorrow and never drank again, it would continue to be a permanent disability, then you will be granted disability benefits because the substance abuse is not a material factor contributing to your disability. Likewise, substance abuse often comes into play with my mental cases involving, for example, depression or bipolar disorder or anxiety. People with mental illness sometimes self-medicate and abuse substances. And in those cases, what we need to show the judge is that even with a period of sobriety for 6 or more months, the medical record indicates that in that period of remission, the person's mental condition continues to be just as disabling as it is or was when substances were abused. The bottom line is this: if you have a substance abuse problem and you simultaneously have a claim for Social Security, please do everything in your power to stay away from abusing substances or relapsing into your addiction. It will greatly hurt the case. It helps to have letters from a sponsor, from Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous. It also helps at the day of hearing to testify to a date certain regarding your sobriety, because that is something that places like AA instill in you, that you need to know your sobriety date. And finally, the testimony that you give at hearing regarding any relapses or sobriety dates needs to be consistent with the testimony in the medical record. So please don't lie about it. Be as forthright as possible, because you may have not realized that you may have shared something with a counselor or a primary care physician, and when you give the testimony of sobriety and then there's an indication of relapse that you gave to another medical provider, that's going to hurt your credibility.